Hi everyone, this is Dave aka MeWTOnN with a replay from the CastCraFtAu tournament for you. We have Blkmrkt, the pink Zerg, spawning in southeast, and we have Babs, the green Protoss, spawning in the southwest. Now we're going to go ahead and get this started at faster times too, just until we see some build orders unfold. Blkmrkt usually a team game player in the Diamond Leagues, and Babs is pretty much masters in most of the team leagues, as far as I know. So the Overlord will be scouting in a northern direction. Unfortunately, we'll find Babs' base last if that is his only form of scout. Babs is laying down a proxy pylon over his natural expansion. That could either mean a forge fast expand or maybe just block that with his original 4 gate build if he chooses to do that. Usually powerful against the Zerg who goes a fast expand, but it's a bit early to tell at this point. And we see a 13 pill going down for Blkmrkt. Unlikely a fast expand at this point in time. Now Blkmrkt is sending out a drone in the opposite direction to his Overlord just to find this base. With that forge completing now, Blkmrkt will be able to tell that this will be indeed a forge fast expand, because if he scouts this main now, unfortunately he doesn't, but usually with no assimilators and all of these probes on the minerals, that means it will be a forge fast expand. That Nexus is going down right now, and followed by a gateway, which he'll use Zealots to block out his opening. Meanwhile, we have a Baneling Nest going down for Blkmrkt, so he might be planning to do a Baneling bust over this wall. A bit unorthodox versus a Protoss player, but still we will have to wait and see what happens. So that Baneling Nest is now completed. What can we expect to see from Blkmrkt? A Roach Warren. And judging by his comment there, he was meant to get a Roach Warren instead of his Baneling Nest. Okay, so now we see a hatchery going down for his expansion, and a first Zealot coming out to expect to block this entrance here in case a Zergling harassment comes his way. Although if we just go to the scouting, the intel, we see that Babs knows that there is a spawning pool going down, but he does not know about the Roach Warren or the accidental Baneling Nest. He is keeping a probe on this Xel'Naga tower just in case a attack force does come his way though. And he sees those 4 Zerglings that were appearing just there. Those Zerglings will try and hunt down that probe, but to no avail, as that probe retreats past this cannon. Will this cannon get a couple of shots in? And yes, it does snot one Zergling just there. Anyway, we have roaches being produced at Blkmrkt's base now. Meanwhile, over in Babs, full saturation on the main now. Well, nearly full saturation, with a probe count of 26. You want about 30 per base, that is full saturation. Any more than that, you will have idle probes. We have the Warp Gate upgrade researching for Babs, as well as +1 attack. +1 attack will allow these Zealots to 2-shot any Zergling that come their way, which will spend a lot less time needed per Zergling. They'll be able to slice through those quicker. Meanwhile, the Queen at the expansion is almost completed. That'll help with the lava counts. Meanwhile, just 5 drones on this expansion. Doesn't need to focus too much on saturation just yet. He knows this Protoss is doing a forge fast expand, so you can't let them jump ahead of you when you're a Zerg. You would like to stay 1 base ahead of your opponents, whether they be Terran or Protoss. You let them jump ahead and it will cost you severely. Meanwhile, these roaches are focusing down the cannons, which is very good play for Blkmrkt. Those Zerglings just weakening that Zealot before they roll in. Now, how will Babs answer this roach attack? I'd imagine, yes. Okay, so we're warping in a couple of Zealots over here within the main. You warp them in too close, of course the roaches are going to focus them down before they're even completed the warp in. So Babs does have 4 gates, with that pylon being taken out over the cybernetics core. Doesn't hassle Babs too much, as the warp gate upgrade is completed, of course. But if he does take out this pylon, that will delay, maybe not, would have delayed that upgrade, but Babs does complete it just in time. These roaches are retreating just for the moment to get their 5 backup roaches at the moment. Some extra larvae been thrown down at the expansion, but not at the main just yet, I'd imagine. There we go. That he is just focusing on the macro game for the time being. Meanwhile, at Bab's base, he hasn't replaced this pylon, so now that there are 2 openings to his expansion, should he come across mass Ling, that could provide him with a problem. This observer being finished now, but is just remaining there for the moment. With that probe trying to scout the expansion, but doesn't manage to make it in there. Meanwhile, this Overlord will be scouting for the 3rd, well, possibly 3rd, maybe 4th expansion over there. East, west, east? No, sorry. West, southwest, I should say. Meanwhile, from Babs, we are seeing a 6-gate Colossus build, with that robotics bay just finishing now. So Bab's gas count at the moment is sitting around the 260 mark with 3 assimilators. I'd imagine he'd want to push for that Colossus first before going for the Lance upgrade. Considering he is under constant harass, he'll need that Colossus out before any sort of tech. And with that pylon being taken out, he is now at 66 supply over 60. Now this is a brutal confrontation by Blkmrkt, and these zealots are focusing down all of these stalkers now. He will want to bring in some more units, and very quickly, otherwise this Zerg force will overrun his Babs' expansion. So these Zerglings are going to run up into this mineral line over here. Very good play by Blkmrkt, as these roaches will roll in behind them and try to confront the stalkers at even range. Meanwhile, these zealots are being walked in behind, but they are quickly focused down by these remaining stalkers, with these Zerglings running in behind on these stalkers. And it is a very close fight, but these roaches will be overwhelmed by the remainder of these stalkers. So with that being said, oh my goodness, all these Zerglings are now reinforcing. This will make it very difficult for Babs to defend, but he is bringing in 2 more zealots. I'm not sure that will be enough. And that is a photon cannon, I believe. Built there. Oh no. This looks very bad for Babs, as these Zerglings are now running into his main to focus on that mineral line, and he's still being attacked at his expansion by these few number of Zerglings. But has the damage been done? A lot of probes being taken out here by these Zerglings that have been sent into the main, and yes, they're being reinforced by even more Zerglings. So Babs is under a bit constant harass here. But will the upgrades come into play, having just finished armor? These Zerglings will be focusing down these probes perhaps, or maybe they'll just run into the main. They will be confronted by these incoming zealots, however. So I'd imagine Blkmrkt will now want to focus up on a more efficient attack force. So Blkmrkt now going for a lair, possibly for roach speed, or maybe even some air units, because he would have scouted that robotics bay when he came to attack this main mineral line here. But for the time being, Blkmrkt will just sit back, mass a few roaches. Not too much creep spread here, that's fine. Doesn't need it at this point, not going a lot of slow units. Having Zergling speed, and roaches aren't too bad off ground either. Of course he can go for the speed upgrade if he chooses to. So Babs is going for yet another gateway, so that will make 7 gates. Maybe for a heavy zealot build after seeing all those Zerglings, but we are not too sure at this point. Not going for a lot of gas at the moment, just focusing on his minerals to bring back his probe count. Just a lot of zealots sitting here, but choosing a different opening after having blocked that with the photon cannon. Both players are sitting on 2 bases at the moment, but Blkmrkt is now going for his 3rd, I believe, taking care of these destructible debris, and now going for that creep spread. Makes it an easier bridge to go to his opponent's base. Some extra larvae going down here, not focusing too much on the gas. Well, he's not going a very gas heavy build at the moment. Roaches only costing 25 gas each, and mainly Zerglings as the reinforcements. So we are seeing some Colossi coming out now. He's just getting his 2nd one now, and only just now going for the Thermal Lance upgrade. As I said, it's not essential to go for the Lance upgrade before you get your Colossus. You prefer that splash damage before you get your upgrades. It's really quite pointless going for the Thermal Lance if you have no Colossi to use them with. So 2 Colossus, then the Thermal Lance is usually a good idea for that sort of strategy. Meanwhile, just pumping those Zealots to keep the mineral count down. Try and even with gas. No probes being produced at this expansion just yet, or at the main for that matter. So that Thermal Lance is about a 3rd done. Meanwhile, from Blkmrkt, we're just seeing these roaches sitting near the natural 3rd base, and a Spire is going down, so he might answer these Colossus with some Corruptors or maybe even some MeWTOnN harassment, even though apparently they're against the tournament rules. Sarcasm ended, of course. Still no probes on this gas, which means he won't be able to get as many Colossi as he would have liked against those number of Zerglings. Usually it's pretty good to go more gas. Maybe even for Psystorm if he does see a heavy MeWTOnN build. But just focusing on getting those Zealots out with the Colossi. Maybe even looking to do a push now. With these 2 Zerglings here, Blkmrkt will know that there is an advancement force coming to his base now. Those Zerglings being taken down very quickly, but there is a Changeling on the way there now. Maybe he'll use that Changeling to hang around this army, but these are selected units, so chances are he will know this is a Changeling unit and destroy it straight away, which happens just there. Excellent play. Good game awareness by Babs. Now, with this creep spread, he will know what force mix Babs has advancing to his base. That is a lot of Zealots which aren't really that versatile with this sort of layout of terrain. Now these Colossus will be jumping up over this ramp. Will they counter these spine crawlers, or will they just focus down a extractor? Nope, going for that spine crawler now. That spine crawler not being cancelled, so it was taken down very quickly. Now, this is a very long way for Zealots to run around, but that Colossus does escape in time. Queens are still able to attack it, still able to do some damage, but these Queens will be taken care of course. Now with these Roaches just massing behind here, I believe Babs does not feel too strong at this point. He doesn't know that Blkmrkt is now almost finished his 3rd base. But if we just go to the production tab here, we have the speed upgrade going for the Roaches, 9 more Roaches and 2 spine crawlers. Not yet seen what air units he chooses to go, whether it be Corruptors or... Sorry, I paused that for the moment for some reason. Whether it be Corruptors or Mutalisks. Now with this attack force going in now, all these Zealots are being picked apart by the Roaches, but the Roaches are being picked apart by these Colossi. Now with these Zealots falling down very quickly, the Colossus are now focusing on separate targets, which means there's not as much damage being spread to the army. These Colossus are going to have to be forced back if they are to survive all these Roaches. Now, with 2 Colossi and 3 Zealots, 3 Stalkers I should say, to these 19 roaches, he is not in a very strong stance at all, unfortunately for Babs. So Blkmrkt didn't lose a great deal with that attack. He still has 700 minerals to nearly 700 gas. So will he choose that to get 7 mutas, or will he go for the corruptors instead? We'll have to wait and see. Twilight Council going down for Babs at the moment, so that means he could go for the second upgrade on his attack if he chooses to, or maybe even Psystorm. Perhaps Dark Templars, but I wouldn't recommend it. Dark Templars are not known for their damage against an army caliber of roaches and zerglings. More focused on individual unit damage, or even expansion harass. So I've got a couple of zealots warping in there now. Just Colossi count is 3, nearly 4. With that Twilight Council just finishing now, and over Blkmrkt side we are seeing, wow, 8 mutas. 8 mutas for the moment. Not getting any attack upgrades just yet. I do not see an evolution chamber yet either. But there's still plenty of time for that, as Babs does not have a huge lead on the attack and armor just yet. But you might want to think of getting an evolution chamber somewhat soon. Babs going for that blink upgrade now. I personally would have preferred the charge upgrade, but he is going heavier stalkers now. So if he is planning to go a heavier stalker build to the amount of zealots he had before, then of course go for the blink upgrade. Now these mutas are looking to do some sort of harass over the main side by the looks of it. That changeling has scouted that Babs will be going for his natural third, and oh my goodness, this changeling will go unnoticed with his army. Not sure where. Oh, that overseer was taken down by these warping in stalkers just now. Those colossi just finishing on that destructible debris. Meanwhile, that changeling, yes, is sitting in Babs's natural expansion. So he is able to see a chrono boost on that forge, of course with an upgrade. So he can expect to see the second attack upgrade, which it is on these units. So will he? Yes, he has answered that with 2 evolution chambers on ranged attack and armor for those roaches. Now they do already have speed, so he can expect 1/1 roaches with speed. This third expansion now operating with 3 on each gas. Not so much saturation on the minerals. It's not as necessary with this drone count. You want to focus on having a solid army as well. So we have these mutas just relaxing over here. They would have done some harassment over in this natural, with some stalkers warping in behind. And that is being followed by that changeling, which hasn't died yet. Whoops, there's a little bit of a mistake there with 4 harvesters on that assimilator. Might be 3 after this muta harassment though. A lot of probes falling to that muta harassment, and these stalkers need to make their way over there faster. Use blink if necessary. You do not want to fall behind in the probe count to a Zerg player. They will out macro you late game. So now these mutas are going to try to sneak through, and they are spotted with only 1 muta being lost there. That is still great unit management going from Blkmrkt. But these stalkers and Colossus are now moving out to Blkmrkt's expansion, and they are now being spotted by the Tal'darim Tower and these creep tumors. So now the stalkers are moving out, not too close to the ramp, so they don't get attacked by those roaches. And Blkmrkt is answering this attack with a lot of mutas. Oh my god, that's a lot of mutas. 24 mutas to 26, and they're running into stalkers, only losing 1 though. Fantastic unit micro. And now the roaches are moving in. He will need to move these mutas in and quick focus down these colossus, otherwise they will... Oh my goodness, that is a slaughter going on there. Taking down 1 colossus, but all of these roaches are falling down. And these mutas aren't going to fare well against that amount of stalkers, but he is reinforcing with the amount of zerglings, and these colossus will be taken down. and the Stalkers will focus on the Zerglings because they are being attacked primarily by the Zerglings. And Blkmrkt is now reinforcing with his natural expansion drones, so he will be able to overwhelm Babs' strike force for the time being. Very close match so far, but if Babs does not answer this third natural base very soon, then the mackerel game will fall to Blkmrkt. 100 energy sitting on both Nexi. He could use it on these warp gates to pump out a faster army, but of course he doesn't really have the resources to spare there, with only 1 on gas on his natural and 0 on his main, so he's not getting as much gas as he should. Then again, he doesn't really need it for Colossus. He will want to focus for a Stalker, perhaps Phoenix build, going heavy Muta by Blkmrkt. All of these drones being switched from the main now to his third base, after having depleted that. Very good lava management by Blkmrkt. Will he go for a 2-2-2? Perhaps not. If we just take a look at the production tab now, we see another hatchery going down, so Blkmrkt is going for his 4th. Oh my goodness, 11 Corruptors. I'm not really sure. Babs isn't bound to go for too many Colossi after having lost them all to those Mutalisks. Perhaps the Corruptors mean he will be... yes, there is a greater spire, so Blkmrkt will be going for some Broodlords. Broodlords to counter these Stalkers, while the Zerglings and whatnot keep them occupied. Babs is still sitting on 2 base, now just finishing his 3rd. All of these probes are not being routed to the right nexus. So if you ever find the workers are running back to your 2nd base, or perhaps even your main base from your 3rd, a quick tip is just to hit C when you have those workers selected. That will make them return to the nearest nexus. That's what I like to do whenever I run away my workers, and then I have from a Zergling harass, for example. If you just right click a mineral line, hit C, then they will all return to the nexus before they harvest on that mineral. You can even do that with gas, so right click on an assimilator, shift click 3, so you have 3 on that assimilator, then the rest on minerals, and there you go. Okay, so we have a possible supply limit for 200 over on Blkmrkt's side now. That is a lot of Broodlords being morphed now, an extra 3 on top of his 8. 11 Broodlords in total. Yay my math skills. And this 4th base now has been under full saturation, with 3 drones ready to go into those extractors. And wow, taking a 5th, so he is looking for a significant lead over his opponent. 5 bases to 3, this does not bode well for Babs. Babs will need to scout this if he is to win any sort of macro game, but he doesn't really have the units to confront that amount of Broodlords. Wow, that's a lot of Broodlords. And now 82 Zerglings being spawned by Blkmrkt. This does not bode well indeed. Meanwhile, over at Bab's side, we are seeing 2 Stargates going down. Still only 1 probe being mined at that gas over on his main. He cannot expect to pump too many air units with only 7 on gas. My apologies, I've totally forgot about this expansion. He does have another 6 over here, so he should be getting substantial gas for those air units. 2nd base is nearly mined out. Babs might want to think about taking on his 4th base if he gets a spare 400 minerals. It's a bit hard at this point because he's expecting some sort of harassment or maybe even push by Blkmrkt, and Blkmrkt is now deciding to move out, and this of course has been scouted by Babs' observer, which was hanging around, so that's how he was able to answer this Broodlord call. So now these Zerglings are now being sent out. Wouldn't expect you to scout that. It's an unorthodox place for a Protoss to put a expansion that close to a Zerg opponent. Blkmrkt, of course, does know that this third base was being built from that changeling scouted the destructible debris. That fifth base is now being completed with the queen training at that hatchery. A lot of larvae available for Blkmrkt. Adrenal glands being researched by Blkmrkt with +1 attack and +2 armor. No longer going roaches, so ranged attack is not very necessary at this point. Focusing on heavy Zergling, not to mention the broodlings as well, will benefit from those upgrades. And these void rays will now try and focus down the broodlords, but they are also being attacked by mutalisks, so they will need to get rid of these mutalisks if they are to focus on these broodlords unattended. Meanwhile, these stalkers are falling down to all these broodlords being shot down by the broodlords. Anyway, all these Zerglings are now piling into the natural and not in a very good position against Babs, but equally bad for both really. All of these Zerglings just running around trying to get their spot in. Meanwhile, Babs' stalkers are just being focused down. That adrenaline gland upgrade has been completed, so those Zerglings are attacking even faster. Meanwhile, the gateways are falling down. It looks like just barely those 3 void rays were able to take out the remainder of those broodlords, and the Zerglings will soon fall. Little will it matter, however. Blkmrkt are now operating off 5 bases, 3 of them saturated, 1 just for larvae count and map control. And these corruptors are now going to move in. I'd imagine he will take out these remaining void rays before morphing into broodlords. Now going for +3 armor, +2 attack, and +1 on air attack. So now these corruptors are just going to focus down these remainder void rays. That does call for the good game, and a good game it was. Pretty macro intensive, but at the end of the day, Blkmrkt was able to out-expand his opponent, stay high on his larvae count, and get a much higher army towards the end. With a lot of harassment going down in Babs' base, it was a bit hard for him to keep up, losing constant drones, and then finally he was out-teched with the broodlords, and they were just able to focus down his stalkers, not getting enough void rays in time, but they were soon enough answered with these corruptors. I hope you enjoyed this game, and stay tuned for round 2. This is a best of 3, and this was Dave, aka MeWTOnN. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next game.